Hello, Vine community. This is the third time I'm doing this now. So yeah, hopefully this works. I'm here to do a recent vinyl finds video, and I've left out all the jazz in this one. But there's all different genres. I've been sick for 6 weeks. I think they call it a peptic ulcer, something like that. I feel better now. I'm up on my feet. I've been working for a week, but it still hurts, especially in the mornings. So I have some medicine for it and stuff like that. But I haven't really felt like playing any records or watching any VC videos or taking part in any way. So it's just maybe last 2 days that I've started playing records again. 6 weeks is a long time. I've lost 8 kilos, and I ran a lot before, but I haven't run in 6 weeks. Sucks. That's the way it is. So yeah, but records. This is maybe 3 months worth of records, half of it at least, in different genres, as I said. And I'm going to start with reissues, and then moving on to original pressings, and finishing off with the grails. So going through this quickly, this is Dylan's More Blood, More Tracks from 2018, the latest bootleg series. Fuck it. My favorite Dylan record is Blood on Tracks, and this is awesome to have and listen to. Outtakes from the sessions. I also bought the Joker soundtrack by Hildur Gunnarsdottir. And I think Hildur is most famous for collaborating with Sun O, but obviously this put her right up there on the radar with this magnificent soundtrack. And also she also did the soundtrack to the TV series Chernobyl, both equally good, but I only have this one on purple vinyl, which is kind of cool with being the Joker and all. Yeah. Another one I won on a Swedish auction site was this Get Dreamy by The Dream, 1967, I think. And this is the reissue from round 2, 2017. The Dream is famous for holding or having Terje Rypdal as the guitarist, and I think he's writing most of the songs on this one also. A young Terje Rypdal, Norwegian group, Norwegian guitarist. And I have to say, this is just so. I've listened to it three times now, and after listening to it, I can't remember a single song or a melody. I mean, just that's stuck in my head, so I don't know what to do with this. Maybe I'll sell it or keep it and see if I like it more down the road. When the soundtrack to Sugarman came out, I jumped on it right away and bought it. And I was thinking of buying the standalone records, but I thought that the soundtrack, the compilation, was good enough. Now, I got the opportunity to buy this really cheap. This is the 2008 reissue of Cold Fact. So I did that on Light in the Attic. And I'm glad I did. It's I mean, as a record, they are really good, strong songs. But I don't know if I'm the one who likes the hype. I mean, there's singer-songwriters that is way better than Rodriguez, in my opinion. But yeah, some of the songs are really strong. It's solid albums. I mean, the guy also had this, so I bought that as well. This is the 2012 reissue of Coming From Reality, with the die cut on the sleeve. Also, Light in the Attic sounds fantastic. The soundtrack that I had was also from Light in the Attic, but I actually sold that and got as much as I needed to pay for those. So yeah, happy camper. Next one is late 90s reissue of a masterpiece. I'm still looking for an original press of this, so hook me up if you have one. John Cale and Terry Riley's Church of Anthrax, fantastic, 1970. I mean, I love John Cale and I love Terry Riley, but what those two artists did on this sort of collaboration is from another world. Just a perfect record. If you haven't heard it, check it out. Do yourself a favor, check it out. It's magic. I don't know if they did anything else except that. Shame if they didn't. Okay, so that's the reissues. Now to original pressings. This is a record I did a trade with a guy here in Sweden that I respect a lot. He has a podcast with a friend called Arkivet podcast. So he's one of the really cool guys that collects folk and psych records in Sweden. His record collection is to die for. He contacted me to ask me about a Swedish prog record that I have that is really rare, asking me if I wanted to sell it, and I said that I could trade it with him, because I know that he had a lot of stuff that's on my want list and a lot of stuff that should be on my want list. So I sent one record to him, he sent a box of record to me, and one of the records that was on my want list that he had and sent me was this one, Fraser and the Bolt from 1970, with Ian Gunther. I don't know. This is, people are calling this acid folk record, but I don't agree. Now, I don't know what the genre acid folk is really, but this is more of a country record, or country folk record. Check out the last song on this. I mean, pretty much all the songs on the entire record are strong, but the last one, Don't Let Me Down, the Beatles cover that they do, the female and male vocals on that one is really cool. They do a amazing cover of that. But this is a record that you put it on and you listen to it all the way through, and everything is good, but you can't really remember exactly how it sounded. You just register, I don't know the word for that, but that it was a pleasure to listen to. Now, as good as this guy is, he said to me that he was sending me a bonus disc also, and it turned out to be this, Fraser and the Bolts with Pleasure, the second and last record that they put out. So now I have both. Thank you so much. Released in 1973. A little bit of a bigger band, and this is more, if the first one is a country folk record, this is maybe a little bit more in the country rock record, but yeah, still very much folky. And equally good. Highly recommended. Cheap. Get it. I mean, $5, $6, $10 you can get those for, especially in the States. I haven't seen anyone in any store in Sweden, and they rarely get out on Swedish, like eBay, stuff like that, but internationally, really cheap. Okay, so this is not a trade. I bought this in Gothenburg, and I was amazed to find it. Many years ago, I added this to my want list. It's an American record by an American artist, private pressed. I don't know how many copies were pressed in 1970. But screw it. I never thought I would own a copy, because I'm not one to buy a lot of records from the States, with the shipping being too pricey and taking too much time to get here. Just a hassle, and you have to pay tax when it comes here, and toll, and it's just it's a hassle. So I never thought I would own it, and I went into a store and I found this in a crate for like €20, maybe less. The first book of Sloan, chapter 8, verse 4 through 17. So it's just a guy with his guitar and harmonica, but really, really great. Finger picking style on the guitar. Reminds me a little bit of the same style as John Fahey. But his voice is great. Fantastic, privately pressed. Label looks like that. And you can listen to this via Discogs. If you go to Discogs and watch the video version of the Discogs page for the record, you can listen to it, I think, at least. So do that, check it out, it's great. So there's two records that I'm going to recommend you to listen to, no, not recommend you to urge you to, or make you listen to, if any, from this video. And this is the first one that you have to listen to. It's a masterpiece, and I got this in the trade also. Never heard about it. He bought it sealed from the guy, maybe, I don't know. And there are some copies out there sealed, so I think that they found a stock of sealed records or something like that, but it's out there on the market for 50, 60, 70, 80 euros, something like that. Any Direction by Winston George, singer-songwriter, folk artist, private press, as I said. Just him and a guitar, amazing, like amazing. Listen to Alone with a Shadow, for example, or Any Direction, or Danger You, or A Long Time Leaving. It's Dylan-esque, but at the same time it has more straightforward, and shouldn't say better lyrics. Obviously not Dylan is the best, but I don't know. Maybe it's because it's private pressed and it's so damn unusual and obscure and underground and under the radar that you react to it. There's the label on Ergo. But something that really resonates when you listen to it, in my opinion. It did with me, at least. There's not a bad song on it, to be honest. There's just really good and even better songs. So listen to that. And I mean, look at the cover. So simple, but just draws you in, doesn't it? Another record that I've had on my want list for ages, since I started like looking for and collecting Swedish prog, but it's always been too pricey, and I didn't find it, like, maybe half of the songs are good, half of the songs just shit, and one of the songs are maybe top 25 best prog songs in the Swedish catalog. Talking about Nature, Earth Mover. This is their second record from 1974, and I think 73 or 2 they released their first one on the Gump label. Gump is a famous Psych and prog label. They only released 10 or 12 records. Kvartetten som sprängde with Kattvals is one of the records on the Gump label. But the second one they released on Sonnet Records. Looks like this. And it has some famous players on it. Björn Jason Lindman, Arno Gassama, and Bernt Rosengren is guests on this one. But you also have Mats Ronander and Lasse Welander. Great guitarists and musicians. But as I said, it's just like boogie woogie on half of the songs. And then there's the song Mystery Brew, the last one on the first side, which is just to die for. Top 25 best prog songs in Sweden, maybe. Yes, so it was part of the trade, so therefore I didn't have to pay the prices that they are asking for it nowadays. Talking about classic records, this is, I mean, I'm so glad I found this also in Gothenburg. Etta James at Last from 1961. This is a US first mono press of this iconic soul and rhythm and blues record. Not a bad second on it. Her voice is just to die for, and the songs are amazing. So glad to find this for a great price, because it's not in the best condition, but it's not bad. It's deep grooved and it sounds good, but it crackles and pops now and again on the record. But I don't care. It sounds terrific. And I mean, look at that cover. You could pay that sort of money. Like, I think I paid $20 for this, and you can pay it just to own original 1961 version of that cover. Great. So, and pretty rare, so I was glad to find that. Another one that you don't see this every day, that I'm glad I picked up, but I don't think it's the best record or group that I've ever heard. It's decent, but a lot of people likes this, and it's, for music, it's historical important. The Pretty Things first record on Fontana. This is the first UK mono press. on Fontana. You see the little mono sign there with the triangle. A lot of people loves this record, but I don't know. It's a beat record, a rock beat record that, yeah, it doesn't really. It's not my bag, really. It's okay. It's a decent record. I love SF Sorrow by Pretty Things, and I'm still looking for. I think it's called Parachutes or Parachute. That a lot of people has recommended to me. For being a Pretty Things record, but I'm looking for that, so let me know if you have a spare copy. But nice find. I paid very little for that, so I'm glad I found it, and now it's in the collection. Yeah, so talking about records that you want in your collection, I contacted a store online because I know they had this one, and I hagged down the price, and for being in that condition that it is in, I paid a very, very good price for it. So here it is. This is The Zombies Begin Here from 1965. Original first monopress of this on the red Decca label. I have the Half Speedmaster Abbey Road reissue from 2017. Whoops. 2 seconds. We got a cat, so she's all over the place. Thank you, Lisa. So, okay, now the problem is when I bought it, I sent them the money, and when they were going to send me the record, they played it, and they noticed that the record was warped. It's just warped out on the edge. So you have a slight warp, or a pretty big warp on the first tracks of the first and second side. Like unplayable. You can't play the first tracks on the first and second side. But the rest of the record sounds pretty okay. Now, so I got this for free because I had sent them the money. I knew they had other records that I wanted. So the next one I'm going to show you is the one that I got instead. But I know a guy or a store in south of Sweden that has this sort of machine, a record press machine that flattens records. Professional machine. So, and they ask like €5 or €10 or something like that to flatten a record, but it takes hours, and I'm never in that store. So I'm thinking of going there like maybe in a month's time or something like that, to just leave it there and let them flatten it to see if I can get it flat. If I can get it flat, I have a pretty rare record in like at least VG condition. So that would be nice. But I decided to go with this one instead. And it was even pricier, but I think they had they had bad conscience or something like that. So they let me get this for the money that I was going to pay for that one. So I got both of them. And that's Yardbirds Roger the Engineer. First UK stereo press on the light blue Columbia label in, I mean, VG plus condition on the record at least, and writing here. But other than that, it's a fairly good cover as well. And this is a classic, man. It's good. It's so damn good. There's not a bad song on this. Check it out if you haven't heard it. But just the first side is insanely good. The bass on the first song, called Lost Woman, Lost Woman, is great. So glad to have that to add that to the collection. First UK stereo pressing of Roger the Engineer. Okay, so now we're down to the last two, but I'm going to show you 3 records, but yeah, 2. And the 2 Grail records, so to speak. This is, I'm super glad to add this to the collection. It's a pretty rare and famous Swedish prog record that a lot of people are want, often because of the cover, because the cover and the record is better than the music, but because I think the music is just okay. It's a okay Swedish prog record, not up there with the best ones, maybe in the middle, something like that. But the record is called Handgjort, and the group is called Handgjord, and that means handmade. So when this was came out in 1970, it was handmade. So 901 covers were handmade. This is a unique piece of art that the music that the group sat and did as a collective. Now I've seen insanely cool versions of these covers of Hanyud covers, big paintings and landscapes and stuff like that. This with the little piece of cloth that they have painted on is maybe the worst of the ones that you see. But then again, it's a cool one, and these goes also for cheaper than the more like cooler ones. And this comes also with a inner sleeve, original inner sleeve, and it's on the famous Silence label. So needless to say, in that shape it's in, and with the coolness of the sort of the record, not the coolest cover version. I didn't pay much for it, not what it usually go for, but I had to pay some money for it. But I'm glad I did. I've had this on my want list since I started collecting prog, and it's a pricey record, so nice to add to the collection. The band is almost drony raga-esque, like Indian style in the music, not so much the Swedish folk perspective as a lot of those bands from that time period and genre, like Terges och Stenar and stuff like that. This is more indie raga drone, but it's cool. The second side is better than the first side also. Okay, so how are we with time? 22 minutes. Okay, this is gonna take at least 5. So this is the last one. I did a part trade, part buy by one of he's become a friend, collecting friend in Sweden, and we talk a lot and send links to each other. And he has a store where he sells mostly books, but he also sells records. And when he gets stuff in, like cool stuff in, he sends to me and asks me if I need it in my collection. And he's just a great guy. And I think he watches my videos also, and we talked for years. Now, last year, a year ago or something like that, he got this in the store, and he asked me about it. I had it on my want list, and he didn't know what to do with it. So, and it was too pricey for me to buy. I couldn't buy it. So we didn't talk much more about it, but I always knew, back in my head, I knew that he had that record. So a year goes by, I sold some records, and I had some money on my PayPal account, and I started to think about if he still had that record. And he did, but I didn't have all the money to buy it. And he gave me a great price, but I didn't have that money either. So I asked him if he wanted to trade for half of the money, and I could give him records that he could sell in his store and get even more for. So I think that the deal was very good for both sides, and I got the record, and I'm so glad I did. This is the Grodek Whimper Jenny from 1970, and I don't know if any of you know about this. It's a funk psych record, and that's just exactly what it is, from 1970. It's like this. This guy is called, or Whimper Jenny is called, Dave Matthews, and he was hired by James Brown to write songs in the late 60s and early 70s. So he's credited on a lot of singles in the 60s for James Brown. Now in 1970, James Brown had just started his record label, People Records, and I don't know how, but Dave Matthews could release a record with James Brown's band, but he had to call it Wimpy Jenny or something like that, or he wanted to do that. So as you can see, it says here a James Brown production, and it says here a James Brown production. So James Brown is all over this, but he has nothing to do with this. And they go in, they record this, and it's a masterpiece. It begins funky and really, really good, very commercial almost, with the song sitting on a tongue and one riff. But then it just goes on, and it gets more and more psychedelic. The fourth song, called Conclusions, is fantastic. Check it out. And the last song, a 10-minute song called Evidux for the Existence of the Unconscious, or something like that. 10 minutes long. Psychedelic space jam almost, but by a funk band. Now, 2018, this was re-released, because this is a rare record. It's rare and it's expensive. But in 2018, in the US, it was released for Record Store Day. So I went online and I looked on Discogs, and this is actually for sale for €10 or $10 on Discogs. You can buy this really cheap, the reissue, and get it. There's not a bad song on this. Say that a lot, but I kid you not, it's a fantastic record. Very unusual and strange even. I mean, funk psychedelic is it's strange, and it's not like Maggot Brain at all. So check it out. Now that's in 1970. 1971, James Brown released this record. Sure is funky down here, but this is the same session, almost the same band at least, but recorded 1 month after Whimper Jenny. So you have the same record, but this time James Brown wanted to be on the cover, and he wanted this to be a James Brown record. So you have James Brown plays and directs the James Brown band instrumentals. Shows funky down here, and I don't know if Dave Matthews is credited with arrangements on here, and also with all the songs, but also James Brown. I don't think James Brown has anything to do with this other than producing it, and it's his record label. Now I don't think that People were around anymore, but he had a new record label, or another record label called King. So there's the label there. But this is said to be the sister record of Whimper Jenny. And I didn't know that. So I put that on my want list. And I shit you not, 2 weeks after I got the Whimper Jenny record, I went into a store in Gothenburg, and on the wall, this was for like $15 or something like that. Or 20 maybe. But so I didn't hesitate for 2 seconds. I bought it right away. This is not as good as Whimper Jenny, but it's damn good. A little bit more funky, a little bit more James Brown than the Whimper Jenny, less psychedelic. So they go hand in hand. I'm gonna keep them on. I'm gonna file it as Dave Matthews, but I'm gonna put the James Brown record after that. So it's gonna be filed on M, not B. Okay, so that's it. Hope you enjoyed. Please ask me questions if you have anything. Just write them down there, and I'll try to answer them as soon as I can. Thanks for watching. Take care.